You said that you did a lot of research for the Immortal devices. What kind of research went into the Mortal Instruments?
Well, it's a different kind of research when you're researching, contemporary, because a lot of it is just, from ordinary life. But I did an enormous amount of research into folklore and mythology to come up with the demons and the magic. So I did a lot of reading about demons and angels. I reread the entirety of Paradise Lost, read all Dante's Inferno, read a lot of sort of demon books and demonologies from the Middle Ages, as well, like the Lesser Key of Solomon and things like that just have all of these demon names and maps of hell and stuff like that. I was trying to create a very, mythologically dense world, so it really felt like there was a lot of story behind all of the demons and the angels and the conflicts they've been having for years.
I think it worked very well.
Thank you.
How much research went into the Curse Worker series?
Actually, a lot of research, some of which I did not really realizing I was doing research. And I think a lot of times books come out of our own personal fascinations with weird stuff. And I was really interested in grifting and cons, and I'm a really shy person, and I'm fascinated with people's ability to convince others of things and the confidence that I have to take, and the real close observation that lets you know like who is a good mark and how you convince each mark. And I had read a lot of true crime, and I particularly read this book called Son of a Grifter, about a kid who grew up with a mom who was a con artist and who eventually murdered someone and was put in jail. And it was told from, this is true life, she and his brother wound up in jail, and he made it out. And it was just so fascinating to me that it started to sort of come together. And then I had to do research to fill in the blanks and to know how to, con my friends, which I know.
Sounds like fun.
Profitable.
That's a lot of research. Step 2.
So you both have gotten really popular from your books because they're so awesome. How has that affected your writing?
Flattery will get you everywhere. I think when you write your first book, it's always kind of a weird experience because, you feel like no one's fighting for it, no one's excited about it, it's just you, maybe your grandma. And so when the book goes out in the world and people start to experience it, they sort of develop a sense of, I want to say ownership, and not in a bad way. They become, this book's become part of them. And so it's really gratifying to see books go out in the world and for other people to feel that those characters are real to them the way that they are to you.
And I think, probably one of the things that you start to be aware of that people are going to have a reaction to stuff you're doing, especially when you're, into a series. And, to a certain extent, that can get in your head, and so you really have to kind of put it off and just concentrate on what you're doing. It really gets hard sometimes. You think, I bet they're going to really like this part.
Yeah.
Or, they're going to hate this.
You have to be careful.
And, you got to try to put all that
aside. By purchasing any book by either author, once you have your wristband, you can come on up to the room is filling up to make your way.
It does that periodically.
There's a room?
I think Deb's like weird French door thing.
Nice door to How can you?
So how do you feel about how popular the term South Carolina has gotten on Twitter?
I think it's great. I think the best kind of memes and jokes that was completely extemporaneous and unplanned. Somebody asked me if there would be any SC in City of Fallen Angels, and I was like, what's SC? And they didn't reply. And in the wake of their not replying, I started guessing. I knew that they probably meant sexual content, but I started joking, and I was like, oh, South Carolina, it's a very dangerous place. You don't want to go there unprotected. You want to go to South Carolina without thinking about it beforehand. And I just kept going, and so people started, jumping on the joke bandwagon too, and tweeting pictures of South Carolina and whatnot. And I think it's very funny that it's become as popular as it has. In fact, we did an event last night, our midnight release party, and this totally adorable little girl gets upset. I swear I thought she was going to ask Holly a question because I thought she was a Spider-Man fan. And she said, "What's South Carolina?" And I was like, "This is terrible." I tried to explain it. I know. I was like, I guess you do. You read what you said. I tried to explain it. That's down.
It's fine.
She was fine. Her mom looked nervous. She was like, I don't know whatever. She was so relieved because there were all these jokes and she was like, just explain. She was like, oh, winner. Oh, sorry. Oh, no.
Okay, this is for Holly. Your curse worker series is very different from your other books. Why is that?
Well, I've been writing my series for a long time, and I wanted to do something different, and I love capers and cons, and I think, sometimes as a writer, people know one side of you, and it's great to be able to do a project that shows sort of a different side of you. I think there's many ways in which the Curse Worker series is like my previous series, but, it's dark, it's concerned with lies, and it's concerned with sort of straddling worlds and magic and romance, but certainly first-person point of view from, present tense with the guy narrator is really different, and that was what was fun. What's been fun about it.
Okay, I've read City of Fallen Angels already, and it was really good.
Okay.
I liked a lot of the new characters that were introduced. Are we going to see more of them in the later books?
Yes. So are you thinking about, spoilery interview stuff, are you thinking about, Jordan and Maureen, kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Both of them reappear. Maureen, she ran off, but she'll be back. Maureen is a lot of fun for me to write because she's based on a little bit on my friend Maureen Johnson, who is also a writer, and who loves Simon, and so she's always been begging me to put me into her the book as a character who loves Simon, and so finally I was like, okay, but you might not like it. And so to write this little girl who is just fixated on Simon in a very innocent way, and then what happens to her, which is so terrible, and she becomes this really intriguing monster to me because she's this mixture of great anger over what happened to her, and she's still obsessed with Simon, and she's also very naive, so she's a lot of fun. And I like Jordan. I was initially sort of back and forthing on bringing him back, but a lot of people had expressed interest in Maya's backstory and how she had been turned into a werewolf and she never saw this guy again. And so I started to think, what would it be like for her to see this guy come back into her life, because she's clearly somebody who pushes down the things that happened in her past, doesn't think about them, and that's how she goes forward. And so she's confronted with the guy who made her a werewolf, but she can't really be angry at him anymore because he's gone on in his life, he's totally reformed himself, he's doing this really good work. So, how do you cope with your own anger in the face of those things? And so both of the threads of those things are going to weave through the next two.
He's a really enjoyable character to read about.
Oh, good.
And one last question for both of you. Who is your favorite character to write?
In the new series, I think that it's funny. So the first two books are they're sort of mobs for fantasy, and there's this old Cassie's grandfather is this death worker who's lived a full and somewhat nefarious life, and it's really funny. He's always got really homespun advice about killing people and covering your tracks. It's really been fun.
I love him. He's great. For me, Magnus is always the most fun to write. He always has the most, both in the Clockwork series and in the Mortal Instruments, Magnus is featured, and I love writing him because, he's crazy and fun in TMI, and in Clockwork he's actually a little bit more vulnerable, and it's really kind of fun exploring that other side of him.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.